Well, hello, and a very warm welcome back to another week on the plot. It's the time when all the hardy vegetables have all gone in the ground. All the brassicas, the peas, the onions, they're all in. The nighttime temperatures aren't too bad. They are dipping this week down to about 4 or 5 degrees, but everything that I can get in the ground is now in the ground. And I'm now switching my concentration to the pumpkins, the squashes, the courgettes, cucumbers, that sort of stuff. It's all in the greenhouse. It's all just germinating at the moment, but I'm very pleased with the way it's going. Funnily enough, one of the ladies on the site walked across my plot to get to her car on the golf car park recently, and she shouted out to me. She said, "Are you having any trouble germinating pumpkins?" And I said, "Well, I don't know, I've only just sown them." And oddly, the first lot of pumpkins and the first lot of butternuts didn't germinate at all. New packets of seeds, not a single one. I don't know whether there's something in that. Anyway, I went and bought new packets, I re-sowed, and they've all come up. So although we've had warm weather for a long time, we have had nighttime temperatures that are cold. Maybe I just sowed too early, I don't know. Anyway, it's all going very well. I think I'll start by showing you the greenhouse, and then this afternoon, hopefully, if Cheryl can drag herself out of bed, she's coming up with lunch. That'll be nice. That'll be the first time this year. She is a fair weather plotter, and I don't blame her. But I'm up here very early, getting things watered. Wow, the weather just continues to amaze. Another warm weather week behind us, and another 2 weeks ahead of just unbroken sunshine. This lack of rain is going to come back to bite us. It's very lovely. It's very pleasant to be on the plot and at work, but at some point it's going to get serious. Anyway, you're very welcome. Let's start with the greenhouse at home. Well, excuse next door pressure washing. I've got lots of basil. That's the successional lettuce. Winter squash, mashed potato, more second sowings of brassicas, peppers up the top, and then all these tomato plants. These are the problem. They're meant to go in a greenhouse. Are we moving or not? More brassicas, more pumpkins and butternuts, and then the courgettes up there. Well, as the old saying goes, I only know it from the army, no plan survives contact with the enemy. And I think it was last week I said, I'm not bothering to weed between the rows of potatoes. It's a waste of effort, because when I earth them up, all the weeds will get dug up anyway. And then I looked at it in the week and I thought, I can't stand that, I've got to sort it out. Do you ever change your mind? I'm sure you know, I can't be alone. Right, this is what I'm doing. And then 10 minutes later, no, I'll do the other. Anyway, I weeded and I've watered this morning. Not really sure how much potatoes need watering. Do you water your potatoes? Once they're earthed up, I probably won't water them, because I think it just encourages slugs. But while they're young and developing, I thought I'd give them a helping hand. Whether I'm doing more harm than good, I don't know. And I'm rather hopeful this year to actually get to eat a fig. This was a cutting given to me by another plotter maybe 5 or 6 years ago. It was no bigger than a finger. But this year the figs have developed early and they're looking a fair size. We shall see. And in the week I put some canes in these tubs, and today I'm going to get a piece of string and just start to suggest that those two very, very supple and young branches, as they will become, should start to move a little more horizontally, because of course all they want to do is grow vertical, and that's not what I want. So I've done it on the 2 that I've cut back, and I'm rather optimistic about them. These roses were out in April. Goes to show just how wonderful the weather's been. They really are a joy. And the peas are going at a great pace. They are the one thing at the moment that I water every time I come up here. 2 cans per row, that's their ration. And so far so good. I had cause to replace one of the strawberry plants under this membrane this week. One of them had died and I've got some spares, so I was digging in the new plant. I couldn't believe how damp the soil is under that membrane. The membrane does a really good job of keeping the moisture locked in. I was very impressed. As I am with these tubs, they're very pleasing to the eye when the potato plants are that small. Once they get bigger and the pots disappear, not so much, but I do love them looking like that. The broad beans, Aquadulce Claudia, are getting quite big. I know John has already nipped out the tops of his broad beans, and I think I'll be following suit today. I check every time I come up here for black fly. No sign yet, but I don't want to encourage them. And you can see this plant is now over waist high, so time to chop them back, I think, and just take the tops out. I think that bee's just having a little rest. Well, more exciting news on my neighbour's plot. This is my 9th summer coming up, and he was here long before me, and he has never cut the grass on the paths on my side or on John's side. Never, in the 9 years I've been here. And this week he did it. He's got a little electric mower, he brought it up and he cut this path. He could have knocked me down with a feather. And he's gone and bought this very, very good quality membrane, and he's put it all the way down the edge on and around his polytunnel. It's remarkable. That must have cost a packet, and it's no small effort. He will do absolutely anything it takes apart from grow fruits and vegetables. It does keep me entertained, and I have to say the site is looking great. This time last year I was really worried how the site was deteriorating, but now it's looking an absolute pleasure in places. This central piece, which is shared by 2 couples, this is what I mean. There are still areas of the site over here where they're not being used and they're looking quite ragged, but that aside, that's the other side to me, so I don't see it so much. I mean, I'm not quite sure what the idea behind putting these scaffold boards up as raised beds and then not raising them, but that's not me. I'm not being critical. Everyone does it differently, and I'm no expert, so each to their own. Maybe one day they'll fill them, but the point is it's all cultivated and planted. I'm thrilled for them. It's no small effort to turn this piece of waste ground into a working allotment. So well done them. It's looking blimmin' lovely. I'm really pleased for them. And the 2 farm workers, young fellas, what they don't have in experience and knowledge, they make up for in sheer work ethic and enthusiasm. They come over quite regularly and ask me questions. And what a joy to behold that is. Absolutely stunning. Their work rate is phenomenal. Fantastic. Well, I'm very pleased to report the carrots have germinated. Looking rather good. Not so good there. I might have to just try and re-sow a few in amongst the 1 or 2 that have germinated. But here's the problem. There are carrots germinating in amongst whatever that weed is. Whether I've got the patience to stand and weed out all the weeds and probably pick out a few carrots as well, I don't know. But some are better than others. And I have been along. I mean, here's one I started this week, just weeding out. That one's a little easier. But yeah, we're going to have carrots this year. And this is the onion bed that I sowed in the autumn from sets. I mentioned them last time, that I'd noticed some that had bolted. And since I mentioned it, a lot more have, so it looks like the whole bed is bolting. I don't know. Never mind. And as far as I'm aware, once they bolt, they don't grow and develop anymore, do they? If you know, could you leave me a comment? Am I wasting my time? Is it worth pulling them out? Who knows? Garlic seems to be doing okay. Very happy with the way it's developing. They're thickening up. I'm hoping that there are bulbs developing underground. Certainly looks like there should be. I'm very pleased with the dahlia development so far. In fact, that one there, I've just spotted, it's got a bit of slug damage. I have to lift that one off the ground. But here with the sunflowers that aren't wanted and the dahlias that are just starting to put on some decent growth, very happy. Even with the 2.5 allotments I've got nowhere to put that spinach. I suppose I could interplant it amongst other stuff. Yes, I have to think about that. Well, I don't think my eyes deceive me. This step over is producing fruit. I am thrilled. Let's hope they don't all drop off. I think of all the time I spend on the plot, over half of it is spent on this kind of thing. Trying to keep the weeds at bay. Because the paths have got that thin plywood underneath the chippings. So the weeds struggle to come through that. So they do the next best thing and they come round the edge. It's a never-ending battle. And each time I'm on the plot, I pick a strip or a patch and I attack it. And that's the next one. Mind you, it works both ways. These potato tubs are developing nicely, but if the potato can't come through the top of the tub, then it'll damn well come through the bottom. And the little fan train cherry tree is absolutely adorned with little cherries. Well, I think we need some useless information. Almost 2/3 of all the water used in the UK comes from other countries. Only 22 of the world's 193 countries have never been invaded by the British. God, it makes you proud. Americans have invaded Canada twice. Here's one for Donald Trump. In 1775 and 1812. They lost both times. 2009 was the first year in recorded history that there were no executions in Europe. In 1457 was the first year the word golf appeared in print, in an Act of Parliament making it illegal. The invention of the bicycle increased the average distance between the birthplaces of spouses in England from 1 mile to 30 miles. If you laid all the viruses in the Earth's oceans end to end, they would make a line 100 million light years long passing 50,000 galaxies. So vast, I can't get my head around that. How do they know that? Just looking at a sick person is enough to get your immune system working. Abraham Lincoln was suffering from smallpox when he gave the Gettysburg Address. The human influenza virus was first isolated in 1933 from a sick ferret. A flu virus can only survive on most surfaces for 24 hours, but can live on a banknote for 17 days. I can remember when we were first let back out after the first lockdown of COVID. We went to a National Trust place, and the cafe was open, but you were served through a window outside. You weren't allowed inside. It's hard to remember how scared people were, isn't it? And I remember I was queuing with my wife, and she asked for a tea and a coffee or something, and she handed over a £10 note, and the person offered up a tub of, I guess it was Domestos, I don't know what it was, and Cheryl had to drop the £10 note into the bucket or the whatever it was of water, or I, without even thinking, I laughed out loud and had to walk away. I thought it was so funny, but maybe there was a reason for it. Brew time. If you stand and stare long enough, you start to observe all sorts of things that you don't see when you walk up and down the plot. These blueberry bushes are a mass of blueberries. All the flowers have been pollinated by the bees, and it looks like a good crop of blueberries this year, which will please my little grandson George immensely. Well, we've had our first picking of lettuce, Lollo Rossa, Cheryl's favourite, and all I do is I just pick off the outer leaves and use it as a cut and come again crop. And I've got a lot better over the last few years at successional sowing. So I have an equivalent trough like this at home. I've got some small plants that I've pricked out, and I've just sown another batch. Keep them coming, keep them coming. I think I said last week that the kiwi plant was growing prolifically. Well, it's taken on a spurt since then. Look, it's heading for the sky. Don't quite know what to do with that. The most prolifically growing, barren, fruitless kiwi on any allotment, unless you can tell me otherwise. Well, that's better, if only for a short while. Right, well, that's all the carrots enviromeshed, except for that one on the end. I need to find a bit more enviromesh. But very happy with that. Good successful germination. Well, today's pickings, nice lot of rhubarb, some beautiful asparagus and some very good looking clean radish. Right, well, it's mid-afternoon. Cheryl's just left. Here a lot longer than I expected. Yeah, a very successful visit. Lovely lunch. Gave her the full deluxe tour. I think almost everything met with her approval. Yeah, really good day. The only blot on the whole thing is the bolted onions, but then they're sets, and I don't care what the packaging says and what the claims are. Red onion sets always bolt. I should have known better and gone with seed, but seed is such a faff. Anyway, there's plenty of other. That's all the autumn sets that have bolted. The sets I planted in the spring have yet to bolt, but there's plenty of time. Anyway, apart from that, everything else is going absolutely fantastic. I could not be happier with the allotment. Nice little harvest, and the weather, for the week ahead continues to be dry. Today has not been warm. You'll have noticed I've got the jacket on, and if I could go back and have this morning again, I'd have put my long trousers on as well. Anyway, thanks for joining me. If you've subscribed, I appreciate it. Please do leave a comment and a thumbs up if you can, and all being well, I shall see you next week. Until then, look after yourselves, take care, bye for now.